All right, welcome to The Blueprint. We are here with Ryan today from 513 Media, and we are so excited. You are number 2 in kind of our mini series about the entrepreneurship journey. We named this one From Dreaming to Doing. So I think one of the really, really cool things about our Lancaster community here is that we have so many entrepreneurs and we have so many successful businesses owners and such a really supportive small business community here. And I feel at the same time, us as small business owners, we feel really alone a lot of the time. And so before we dig into it, Ryan, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, but we're just going to keep talking about these journeys and inspire those listening today.
Sounds great. Thank you very much for having me on the podcast.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. Happy to be here. Like I said, my name's Ryan Glick, owner. I started 513 Media in 2021. Same year that we had our first daughter and same year that my father passed away. So 2021 was a very big year. And so over those last 4 years, a lot of ups and downs with starting my own business. I honestly wanted
You mean it wasn't just simple?
Not even close. Nope. Yeah. It's still not simple. I don't think it ever gets simple.
I don't think it does. I think the problems just evolve.
Yeah. But that's part of the joy of it. And so I think like entrepreneurship, you have to have very high risk tolerance.
Yes.
and very adaptable and flexible.
Yes.
If you're not, you're going to want to give up very quickly. And even when you have that, you still want to give up at times. But at the same time, it's so worth it. And I love it. Started in 2021. I now have 2 daughters and 1 son who is 7 weeks old. So daughter 4, daughter 2, and son 7 weeks old. So we're right in the thick of it.
So awesome.
Yeah,
so
I love
awesome.
it. Yeah.
That's so great. So are you sleeping yet?
We are actually, yeah.
I mean, third time's a charm, right?
Yeah. Our second, honestly, our
I didn't
second
get that far,
and
but...
third, our third, he is sleeping very good. Very thankfully. My wife is a rock star, and she's, taking very good care of the kids.
Oh,
very
that's
blessed,
great.
so,
That's awesome. Well, tell me a little bit before we jump in about what you do at 513.
It's a good question. I do a variety of stuff.
Yeah.
I will still sometimes film, shoot. We work with a lot of businesses and nonprofits. A lot of what I do is directing, coordinating, organizing, and networking. And so building up a team of in-house crew as well as freelancers that we have a ton of great freelancers across Lancaster. And so I do a variety of stuff. I do not edit anymore. When I started 513, I did everything. And I quickly realized that editing was my least favorite part of the aspect of the production process, as well as a big bottleneck on the business side of things. So I pretty early.
It is amazing how people underestimate how long editing
absolutely
takes.
Yeah.
I mean, we get that on the website side. We're like, so we're not just building you one website. We're actually building you a desktop, a tablet, a mobile, all the, and they're like, oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. And so now I do all those, trying to do more higher level stuff, planning, building up the business, finding the right people, creating a culture for our team, but then also freelancers, finding the right companies to work with, a variety of stuff like that.
I love that. All right, so take me back to the beginning. I know you said a little bit about 2021, but take me back to where it started, why you started a business. What was, if you could say like this moment was the moment that made the change.
I'll take you back even a little bit further. My dad was an entrepreneur. He started multiple businesses throughout my childhood. And he always led extremely well. Like he was a people first business leader. And I always looked up to that. But at the same time, I always had this missions minded mentality as well.
Yeah.
And so joined YWAM right after high school, which is a missions organization, traveled, got a lot of really good experiences, learned a lot about myself, my faith, and went through that process. So always had this desire to be in missions, but didn't know what kind of business I wanted to start, even though I always had a desire to have my own business, to lead, but then also support missions. Then my wife and I were in India for 2 years from 2018 to 2020. COVID brought us back.
Welcome, COVID.
Yep. When COVID brought us back, I was trying to figure out what to do. I was always a hobbyist photographer. And then when we were in India, I started to dive into video a little bit more.
Okay.
For the nonprofit, we were doing like a training course and stuff like that for the nonprofit we were working with over there. And then so when we came back because of COVID, I was trying to figure out what to do. Went to my old company part-time. But then my father-in-law, who has a construction company, asked if I wanted to do a safety training video for their company. And I was like, I guess so. I've never done a professional video or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I'll give it a shot. And went through that process of meeting with their team, figuring out what we're going to be filming, what the script was going to be like, and then going out and filming everything on site and then editing everything myself. And I was like, I actually really like this process.
Yeah.
And then realized I was like, this could be something that I am able to turn into a business. I'm able to help other businesses grow through video. And then, so kind of combine both of those passions.
I love, and my story, also very much evolved. COVID changed that, and how you kind of fall into it.
Yeah.
And mine was very similar. I fell into it. I started helping a nonprofit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that was like, oh, and then dabbled, but it's so neat to hear you also say that the calling was to be this owner, to provide this opportunity, and knew that you were being called to the seat, but you didn't know what the seat was
what it was going to be.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's so cool. I love hearing that about your story.
Yeah. And so with that, I mean, then I started doing video part-time, started taking on more clients, and then almost a year later went like full-time into it. And then brought on an editor after that, and then started growing from there. And so there was just incredible process, challenging at the same time. And 513 is in honor of my father, who passed away in 2021. He was the fire chief at Robert Fulton when I was a kid, and the fire station call number was 513. So growing up, that was always kind of like a number that we had around our house. And when I started my business, I wanted to honor my dad.
I love that.
And landed on that as kind of like a unique way to honor his legacy without it being just his name.
Yeah.
But it allows me to share his story.
I love it.
And at his funeral, one of his employees from 30 years prior came and shared in front of everybody and shared that he doesn't believe that he would be here if it wasn't for my dad. And so even to hear that and just kind of the opportunity that us as business owners are able to kind of pour into people, serve people, and leadership is really serving people. And so figuring out how to serve in whatever business role you're in and kind of taking that.
And it's in your bloodline too.
Yeah.
So my grandfather was a big entrepreneur, my parents and my cousins and I, and it's kind of just in your blood. It's a neat legacy to follow. Even thinking about my grandfather and all the businesses we've started and where we've taken the company that he had, and just thinking like, gosh, it's kind of cool, right? It's just really neat to see how that, and now you have a little 7-week-old at home, like how that's going to keep going to the next generation. My kids, I know yours are still very little, but my son is 15, and when he was little, and we asked him one time, what does mommy do? And he, at that time, I was a Mary Kay sales director, and he's like, I don't know, she runs around, she talks on the phone all the time, and could say all these things that I did. And we were like, and what does daddy do? And he's like, I don't know, he goes to work and he comes back. And we're like, we're teaching them so much in both different environments, but it's kind of neat to see them, how much they're gaining. And I remember that for my parents, it wasn't, they went to work and then they came back, we were in the office on the weekends and playing in the back room, and mom had to take a call, but she could also be at the soccer game, and all those pieces. So did you see yourself, we kind of talked about this, but did you see yourself as an entrepreneur, or did it kind of happen by accident? Now, you were saying you kind of knew what you were doing, but did you have a calling saying like, I'm gonna be a business owner, or did you kind of fall into that part of it?
Honestly, I feel like I always had that desire or that feeling that I would, but I always was too insecure to know what that would look like, or even to take that leap. I grew up with a ton of insecurities. I'm the youngest of 4 boys. I have 3 older brothers. And just grew up, I just grew up with a lot of insecurities, and an early boss kind of pulled out a lot of confidence in me. And then going overseas to India, just learning a lot about myself and kind of learning about who God created me to be, and being confident in that person. And I still struggle with that. I struggle with imposter syndrome with starting a company in an industry that I, before starting this company, knew nothing about.
Yeah.
And so just trying to figure it out as I go. So your question was, did I see myself in that role? Honestly, yes, but I had no clue what that would look like.
What that looked like.
Yeah.
Just that was kind of the path
Yeah.
that you were going to be on one day.
While in the midst of like a path of missions and serving. And so it was kind of like a combination of those two paths. And yeah, honestly, I feel like this just fell in my lap, and like I was like, here, go down this route, and see what you can do.
So this is not on my list of questions, but we're going to ask this one. You touched on imposter syndrome.
Yep.
And I know that that's like a big buzzword out there for business owners. But why do you think we do that? Why do you think that we feel so, we allow ourselves to feel so inadequate sometimes when we are prepared? And, you know, I look at it even from the aspect of when college graduates are coming out and what they came out of school with versus your own true life experiences and how that fulfills that role.
I think imposter syndrome comes out for multiple reasons, but I think a big thing is that it's so easy for us to compare to other people. And so we go through our lives and we're comparing. We see in a world of social media, especially, you go on there and you look at video production and you see all these people that are building these amazing businesses or creating these incredible commercials or these movies. And you go into this field and you're like, I've not done any of that. And I mean, even starting a business, this is the first business I started. So I'm like, I'm not a business leader.
Right. Like you're like, what in the world is what is that one?
Yeah.
The one stop or the thing we have to do on.
Yeah.
The one, I don't know. Sorry. That was my little.
Yeah.
Those things frustrate me.
Yeah.
The government websites. I don't know.
Right. And so it's like you're constant. So, and also just, I feel like our biggest critic is almost always ourselves.
Yeah.
And so we always see the negative aspects of what we're doing, to where if we just have a little bit of confidence and if you're a person of faith, like in what God has called you to do, or just in the direction that you're going, and just do the best that you can in every aspect that you do, then and learn from it and learn as you go, and realizing also that almost everybody else is wondering the same thing.
And that's why I wanted, for this series specifically, why I thought that was a really cool thing to touch on, is I think that we are all out there as owners, constantly running this dialogue in our subconscious, right? Of comparing whatever weakness or whatever perceived weakness that we have to somebody else's highlight reel. Right. And,
exactly.
And just remembering, one of the things that I have to remind myself of often too is we're not seeing what's behind the closed door. And is the sacrifice that they are making for that level of success a sacrifice I'm willing to take?
Correct. Yeah.
And if the answer is no, you know, then it might not be the right thing or the right season.
Yeah.
And comparing that to the freedom and choice that I want
exactly
isn't fair.
Yes. And you can't compare it to that. Right.
Yes.
Because also if you're not wanting to sacrifice to that level, then your journey is going to look completely different. And that's fine
and
too.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I almost feel like that's partially where I'm at, because I started my company 2 months after our daughter was born, our first child. And so I was like, I don't want to sacrifice my family for this business. Like, my family is more important to me than my business, but at the same time, like, I want to build this business. And so I feel like I have been able to have very good boundaries within my family and business in that process. But that's also like, it's going to look different than somebody that goes all in and sacrifices a lot.
Yeah.
And they're going to be able to build a business a lot faster and build it to a lot bigger. And so it's, what do you want to do? And,
right.
and what does that look like?
Yeah. Yeah. And being happy with what that goal is for you. You know, I love that. I love that. So what was the moment, and you touched upon this a little bit too, but when you said, okay, this is real now. So your journey was kind of similar to mine before I started K Marketing, but when I started getting into the post-pandemic, finding this new journey that I was going to be on.
Yep.
But when did you think like, okay, this is real. I'm not playing business owner. I am the business owner.
That's a good question, because I would almost say when it became real, when I went full time within making videos, but still at that time, it was almost like I was a freelancer. Like I was almost a glorified freelancer. And then when I brought on my editor, then I started looking at it more of like a business owner. And honestly, it was probably like last year that I felt like, all right, like this is more of a business, and I have to make business-minded decisions, not just individual project-based decisions, like a grander scheme, like a bigger outlook on as a business owner. And so I think it's also progressing. I think every year it looks different too, and what level of business ownership that looks like as you expand.
Yeah.
And let's say we keep growing, and then we, I don't know, start another location or whatever. Like that's a whole nother level of business ownership. Or so I think it's ever changing and always progressing in certain ways. So
I mean, and I love even what you're doing. You're pulling in all these amazing freelancers, and you're giving them the opportunity that their gift, talent, and ability is in the production side, right? But they might not be able to present themselves in the back and forth communication way that would attract in the client that they can serve so well, right? And so I love that too, because that's very similar to what we did. And I'm not great at everything that we do, but I'm going to find people that are really great at that and give them an opportunity to shine in that. So I love that. I love that. Okay. So if you would look back now today and say, I'm really glad I did that, would that be a true statement?
As far as starting
the company.
Yes.
Not every decision made sense.
No,
if you could answer that question and say, yes, I agree with every decision I ever made, we'd be like, no, okay.
There's something wrong there. No, as far as starting my own company, absolutely. I think it's been such a fun journey. I've learned a lot about myself, learned a lot about myself as a leader, still learning about being a leader. But as far as starting 513, going full-time into video, bringing on employees, 100%. I'm very, very happy that I did that. I think my struggle is I'm a very high quick start. And so I've had to rein in certain things because I am like
the 10,000 foot view.
Exactly. Yeah. Where I want to go, I want to do the next thing. But I'm like, no, let's figure out how to do this very well.
Yeah.
And then build off of that.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I'm at now as well. Like I was, thinking about starting other divisions or whatnot within the media side. But then I was like, no, let's figure out how to just be really good on the video production side and get really good at that. And then as we stabilize, figure that out, maybe we bring on another department or something along those lines. But back to the question, 100%, I'm very happy that I did it. Yes, I would do it again.
I love that.
Yeah.
So what would you say is one thing that you know now that you wish you would have known when you started your business?
I feel like there's a lot of things that I wish I would have known when I started my business. And
don't you wish there was a handbook, right?
Yeah.
Like it's the same thing like when you have a baby.
Exactly.
And you're like, no, they just, I mean, when you start a business, it's the same thing, right? They like just give you this baby and they say, have fun.
Yep.
And it's the same thing. You just go and you get your EIN number and they're like, have a great time.
And you're
don't forget to file your taxes.
Exactly. Well, honestly, to go off that, and it's just a little side tangent. I think another business idea is parental coaching. For parents, because I feel like a lot of parents go into parenting not knowing what the heck they're doing. And it's almost like, who is there to help us learn how to be parents?
Yeah.
It's very easy in my mind to find mentors or coaches or people that have done it before. But similar with parenting, like we should encourage that more often with young parents, is find those parents that you like what they're doing. And ask them questions and ask if they would be willing to walk alongside you within this journey. Or starting a business for parental coaching and start being like, all right, let's pair this coach with this this newly
you need help.
Family. No, so that's
I mean, or you could just, I don't know, you could do the whole track that we do and we're like, where are your parents? To our own children. And we're like, they're not ours. What? No. No, the question was, what is something you wish you would have known then? Or a mistake that you made that you wish you would have had that information? Kind of that end of the question.
I would say finances are insanely important. and finding a financial coach sooner. And I think with owner operators, some people are much better at this than I was, but owner operators, the last thing that crosses my mind are the very detailed financial decisions and stuff like that on pricing out projects or stuff like that. When I started, I was like, I just want to go make these videos for people and help them
Yes.
grow. And this
Until
is what
you
it
have
looks
payroll.
like. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
exactly. Yep. Once you
And
start
then you're
getting
like,
payroll, you're like,
oh. And then you have this internal struggle of, I want to do the right thing.
Yep.
I want to provide a reasonable service. I also want to value my team. And I want to make sure that they make a good cost of living. And in order to do all of that and live in harmony, and the number on the bottom of the sheet to not be a big red number,
Yep.
comes in new and different decisions.
Absolutely.
And that's hard.
Yep.
Because you can't, and you also can't do what you did as a freelancer anymore.
Right.
Because
You're not a freelancer anymore.
Not a freelancer
and
anymore.
It's like the time that, if you have people on payroll, the time that they're not being paid billable hours, you're losing money.
Correct.
And so you need to make sure that the time that they're working is being paid by clients. And so that you need those clients to be coming through the doors and paying those bills. And there's just, so I would say one thing would be to find the financial coaching or get somebody on board that can walk alongside you.
Yeah.
Or if I was talking to myself, get somebody on board that can help you walk alongside you on the financial side, to really make sure that what you're doing makes sense.
Yeah. And we just had this conversation the other day. I'm not sure who I had it with. But not every dollar is a good dollar.
Yes. That's very true.
And learning the difference between the two. Just because somebody's willing to pay you doesn't mean that you're a good fit for them or that they're a good fit for you.
I've turned down some decent projects for that, whether it's like political reasons or moral reasons or whatever, that was like, I don't think this is a good fit.
Yeah.
And not selling yourself too short either. Like just because somebody's willing to, you have to make sure that it makes sense financially.
Absolutely.
Sometimes I'll do projects for less because I really want to, and I feel like it would be a very fun project.
Yes.
But on 90% of your case, like all the other times, you need to make sure that it makes sense financially. Yeah.
And it's within what your people enjoy doing, or it's just going to cause frustration and all those things.
Yeah.
All those things.
Absolutely.
Okay. So this is a really good lead into this one. Was there ever a moment that you considered quitting, and what kept you going?
Yeah.
As we're like, oh yeah, sometimes, yeah.
I've thought of it in the sense of, yes, I've had temptations of wanting to quit, but at the same time, it never was actually like reasonable in my mind. I was like, I feel like what I'm doing is where I'm meant to be, and I see the potential of what I'm building, and so I never felt that quitting was the right move. Yeah. And so I think what keeps me going, I don't even know. It's just kind of the joy of entrepreneurship and starting a business and knowing what I'm building is something that I want to build.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the reels and the memes and the TikToks that says that every entrepreneur is like, I'm never going to work 40 hours.
Yeah.
And then they're like, meanwhile, they're working 80.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly.
And those moments when they come in, and sometimes you have to pay that battle in your mind. I could go and get a well-paying job and be able to turn off my phone at 5 o'clock. But is that what I'm called to do? Is that what I'm supposed to do? Is that supposed to better the world that we're bringing our children into if I do that? So those feelings, and then also, I don't know, just to piggyback on that too, when you add employees, your decisions now not only affect you and your family, they affect all the families that you have chosen to bring alongside you. And sometimes that's a lot of weight.
It adds a whole new weight to your decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So what do you think that new entrepreneurs worry about? Sorry, this is such a great question. What do you think new entrepreneurs worry about that doesn't matter nearly as much as they think that it does? Do you know when you like go down the rabbit hole and you're like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. Well, I kind of want to reverse it. I know you're the host and all that, but I'm curious at what you would say.
What I would say to that, I get really, really, I know we talked about this the other day at Expo. I get really hung up on print material.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Like stupid hung up.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't, I'm sure that these are projects that could have moved so much faster and they would have been beautiful. And I am 100% the bottleneck.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know why.
Yeah.
But that I would 100% say me and print.
Yeah. I would say
The digital marketing owner can't decide on her print design.
yeah. Which does make sense. Which definitely does make sense. I would say sometimes I would say the details.
Yeah.
Because and obviously sometimes those details are extremely important. You need to know your numbers and stuff like that. But in order to grow a business, you need to be okay with allowing your team or the people that you're putting in place to make mistakes and to learn from those mistakes.
Yeah.
And then that means you need to be okay with those mistakes being made within certain boundaries.
Of course.
Obviously, it's kind of going back to parenting.
Yeah.
You need to allow your children to make age-appropriate mistakes.
Right.
And you need to allow your team to make those similar mistakes and learn from them and being willing to learn from those. But then also those details, if you're wanting to grow a company, you need to learn how to delegate to where you do not have to you do not have to be the person making every decision.
Yeah.
And so that means you have to let go of some control. And so, yeah, it's going to vary per business and per entrepreneur. But you have, like, what should young entrepreneurs not worry about? I think was the original question, but sometimes it would be the small details.
Yeah. I think sometimes too, now this is not me. It's the exact opposite of me, actually. But put it into second gear would be, I think that some new entrepreneurs become obsessed with those fine-tuned details that they never put it in second gear.
Yep.
They never move forward. And they're so busy thinking they have to learn more, they have to know more, they have to be more, they have to, all these things. And I mean, I've seen it, and I'm not, it's to me, it's the exact opposite, right? Like sometimes people like us, we have to say, like, maybe not put it in fifth gear, maybe go in order, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Then 5. But I think both of those are areas where you have to remember at the end of the day, am I doing income producing activities? Am I moving my business forward? Or am I getting hung up on whatever that detail is that I'm not allowing myself just to go into drive?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think that's so true. Because I think when I was first starting, there was almost times where I was focusing too much on learning, which learning is obviously extremely beneficial, but I was learning these things, but not actually putting them into practice.
Right.
And so I was, I was going through all these online courses, but I wasn't implementing those things, where I wasn't putting myself into opportunities to implement these things, where I was just so focused on learning. Yeah. Which again, you always want to be learning.
Absolutely.
You want to be a lifelong learner.
And we're in an environment where it changes.
Yeah.
Constantly.
That is so true.
At the speed of light.
Yep.
And so if you get stuck in learning, you're just gonna keep on learning.
Yeah. The reverse flip of that, as far as what entrepreneurs should worry about, is people. And really focusing on the people that you're working with and making them feel valued and heard, and making sure that they're satisfied. Almost with entrepreneurs, being more content with a client being satisfied with your work than you being satisfied with your work can sometimes be very difficult.
In the creative world, that can be very difficult.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of times where I'm like, I just feel like it could be a little bit better. The client is thrilled with their product. Yeah. But I still struggle with, like, I feel like I would want to change this. I could have done this
a little better.
Right. Yeah. Which you can learn from that for sure. And you always want to grow and do 1% better every project. And but as a new entrepreneur, really focusing on your client satisfaction. Yeah.
I would say too, which piggybacks on that really well, one of the things that we hear a lot from new clients is you listened. You actually listened. Yeah. You heard what I needed. Yep. You didn't come in and say you were going to do it this way and this way different, and this is a bad idea and throw all this away. You heard what it was that I actually needed and delivered on that.
Absolutely.
And I think that sometimes we're so, this vision of what we think it should be versus hearing what they actually need. So that's a really good point. So how has being a business owner changed you personally?
I think being a business owner has given me a lot of confidence and has allowed, there's just so many different layers to it. It has given me a lot of confidence in who I am, but also has taught me a lot about leadership and going back to the idea that leadership business and leadership is serving people. And if you can take those same ideas, if you can lead well within your business, bringing that to your house as well. Like figuring out how to lead well with your family, with your kids, and then with your friends and extended family too. And I feel like just being a business leader has taught me so much about myself and continues to challenge me to try to be the best version I can be of myself.
I love that.
At work as well as at home. And I think it's tempting to focus on business and you forget your home life. As you build a business or as you work, like you know what to expect more so. And so then it's easy to, almost neglect. I don't want to say neglect, but it's your family.
But sometimes when they're quiet and they're content and that's a good time to pull out the laptop and remembering that even though it is a good time to pull out the laptop, one of the cool things, I'm going with my kids to spend time with two of my cousins and their families in Disney next week, and learning them that shifting priorities are okay too. So I've been saying to them, hey, we're launching a really big, exciting thing at work, and I'm going to be working a lot. I'm going to be at the games. I'm going to do all the things, but like, I'm going to be really focused on this, but know that as soon as we get on that airplane, I'm 100% yours. And it was really sweet that Bella was helping me do stuff yesterday. And she said to me, she made me brownies and cookies, and we had a tea party for Mother's Day while the boys were at baseball. And she said, I know you have a lot to do today because we're getting ready to go. But I just wanted to have a tea party with you. And like, just to know that, like, but I feel as a parent, like what you're saying, like a manual for that, right? Like, she'll know that every day isn't going to look the same, but like we have a goal in mind. And now here's the kicker. I can't go to Disney and not honor that she honored the time I had to work. And I have to, in turn, honor her time that she worked on doing all these things to help me to get that to go. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's a cool thing about being a parent. And as your kids grow, what they learn in confidence just by watching you do hard things. Right? Like our kids have to see us fail. They have to see us win, and they have to see us work hard, and that's how they learn all those things.
Absolutely.
I love that. Okay, if someone listening right now who in a year from now is thinking about starting a business, what would you tell them?
I think there's so many factors to that question that I think I would say potentially go for it. But at the same time, I would say make sure you're ready to go for it. And because you have to be ready for challenging moments. And you have to be ready to leap away from that comfort, that stability that a job does bring. And your family has to be okay with that. If you're married, your spouse has to be okay with that and has to be prepared and knowing what to expect. If you really feel like all of those align, 100% go for it. And find somebody that's done something similar, whether it's the same industry or something similar, that's done it before you. Ask them to be your mentor. Ask them to walk alongside you. Ask them to learn from them, to go with them on. For me, it was going with people on shoots, on larger productions, and learning from them, seeing how they direct, seeing how they work with their team,
their workflows.
And so I would say, if all those things align and you know that you want to do this, then go for it. Just be ready for a wild ride. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I was thinking when you said that too, I really, really liked what you said about being prepared. That's not the word that you used, but making sure that you have realistic expectations and realistic financial protections. I think that would be a good in place.
Yeah.
And that you are not making, if you have a family, that you're making a decision in conjunction with your spouse, and not on your own,
Yeah.
you know? And I think that as business owners, sometimes we make the worst possible decision when we feel a financial pressure
Yep.
behind that decision.
Yeah.
And having that safety net in place and the realistic expectations of if you come in and you think ChatGPT told me that if I do this, this, and this, I'm going to
Yeah.
be a millionaire next month,
Yeah.
I'll be like, awesome.
Yep.
You and ChatGPT have
Good
a
luck.
great
Good-
time
yeah.
with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but that was a good point of just making sure that you are prepared for the journey.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and embracing the joy, but also being ready for the disappointments and the setbacks that come along with it too.
Yeah, because I was listening to a podcast or a book or whatever.
All the things,
Yeah,
right?
all the things. About like, the question was asked, do you feel like everybody has the capabilities to be an entrepreneur?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, and his response was, yes, I do, but not everybody is going to, or not everybody's going to thrive. Like anybody can go and start a business, but whether they're going to go and build it and be successful and kind of overcome and push through, and you have to kind of going back, you have to have a very high risk tolerance and adaptability, and not everybody wants to do that or is willing to have that challenge. And I don't know, sometimes there's like, to not have a business, you can go to work and you can come home and not think about work. And so there's definitely blessings to that as well.
Absolutely.
And so it's what do you want out of your life and out of your time here on earth, and making sure that.
And the really
you're going
funny
down
thing
that
is, I was
path.
a really bad employee.
Yeah.
Like super bad.
Yeah.
Like if you made a rule, I just wanted to break it just because you said I couldn't. You
Yeah.
said I have to clock out at 5:01, 4:59.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, so knowing that what fills you, what you're calling,
Yep.
and embracing what that looks like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, awesome. It's good though, right? It's good stuff.
Oh, it absolutely is.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Ryan, thank you so much
Absolutely.
for being my guest today, and sharing a little about your journey. I know sometimes it can feel really vulnerable. So I appreciate you and your time and sharing your story, and who that will bless and encourage through it.
Yeah.
So
Thanks
awesome.
for having me.
Well, you
I
are
really appreciate it.
absolutely welcome. Well, we will see you on the next episode of The Blueprint.